As a project manager, obviously, you know what's going on. You know when issues happen. You know when dates might slip.
Process of implementing something quite like a radical change in an organization and digitalizing a bunch of processes that people are familiar with.
My calendar for that week was hectic. I underestimated it.
When he walks into an organization, a single project, he can touch upon so many people within the organization.
Because if you a slip of the finger on the keyboard for a date that could be either this year or next year, and then that's circulated across senior management who will see, okay, that day, they will take it as that day.
Welcome everyone to another episode of GCC Tech Talks, the podcast where we sit down with business and technology leaders across the region to uncover real insights, what works, what doesn't when it comes to change management, transformation, technology, AI, data and analytics. Here with my co-host, Sye. How are you doing today?
Hi, Tom. Glad to be back again. Good. In the studio?
Yeah. We're nice and close today, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it makes a change from being across the way.
Yeah, it is. And today's quite an exciting one because it's someone that you know.
Yep.
And we're joined by Mark Primett, who is a seasoned project and program manager. He's spent a lot of time working with fintechs, financial services conglomerates on digital transformation, data transformation, and I'm quite excited to get into this one because I think he's going to share some good nuggets with the audience today.
Mark's a good guy. He's a good guy.
He's a good egg, is he?
Yeah, he's a good egg. He's a very good egg.
Well, Mark, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for having you on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here and discuss all things project, program management, anything else.
Yeah, good. Well, I guess kicking off things, how was everyone's UAE National Day? I don't know when this episode's coming out, but it was over the long weekend. Did you guys get up to much?
It was quite a fairly quiet one for me. We've got a little boy, so he is hard work. So we took him to soft play, took him swimming, took him to more soft play, more swimming, just trying to entertain him.
Wear him out.
Yeah, exactly. And then make the most of his nap times, really.
What about you? What did you get up to?
A few things. Spent a lot of time with my boy as well. He's 10 years old. He's a little bit older, so he's a little bit more responsible. So cycling. We've done a little bit of paddle.
Nice.
Done a little bit of squash as well. I went scuba diving as well one day as well, up in Fujairah.
Oh, amazing. Beautiful.
Always love going up to Fujairah. Actually done the Inchcape one this time round, which was quite nice. The eels, last year, they were about that size. They're about that size now.
Oh, really?
They are huge. The two eels on the Inchcape one, the wreck, they're absolutely huge.
Have you named them?
Not yet. We haven't got names for them yet, but I was thinking maybe Bob and John.
Yeah, I like that.
Just to kind of keep it really, really simple and,
Original.
Yeah, original. Yes, original.
Good. Well, I went down to the Dubai Rugby Sevens.
Oh.
I've not been there for about 20 years. So I used to go to the original Exiles now. So new stadium. He was lucky enough to go on the Saturday. So great vibes. And it was a lovely way to spend UAE National Weekend, to be honest. So happy.
It's always a good day there.
Yeah, to everyone.
Busy, good weather.
Yeah,
the weather's amazing. It's been amazing, hasn't it, for about a month now in the UAE. The weather is so pleasant that you can walk outside without dripping in sweat, shall we say.
Yeah, I'm going back to the UK on Tuesday, so not looking forward to what was -4 degrees the other week. Would rather be here playing golf and staying outside.
Yeah, I'm going back in 2 weeks. It's going to be a shock.
Oh, no.
It's going to be a
I'm
shock.
staying here this year. I'm staying here this year. Yeah.
Well, why don't we jump into it a little bit? I think, first of all, just for the audience, when did you come to Dubai? Where are you from? Kind of, a little bit about yourself would be great.
Yeah, sounds good. So I've been in the region now 4 years in January. We did the classic British thing of, we'll do 2 years and then go home. And now we're here 4 years later, a little one. We're from just outside London, but Surrey. I normally say London because everyone obviously knows that. But yeah, Surrey way. And yeah, predominantly been around Surrey for the majority of my life. My dad was in the RAF, so actually we've lived in Saudi Arabia when I was over 25 years now. So have some experience in the region, although I can't remember it. So I wonder whether that's why it's brought me back here. But yeah, thoroughly enjoy Dubai at the moment, and there's no plans to change that anytime soon.
Weird, isn't it, Tom? All three of us.
Yeah,
all three of
Surrey.
us for Surrey.
Oh yeah, I
All
forgot
three
you were
of
from
us.
there. Yeah.
All three of us are
Whereabouts?
from Surrey.
Woking, Guildford.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
sort of Cobham.
Okay,
Oxshott
yeah.
way.
I used to play football at Cobham.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Small world.
Yeah,
Small
very
world.
small
Yeah,
world,
very
yeah.
small world. Epsom. I used to be in Epsom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really small world, isn't it?
It is a very
all
small
three of us.
I do
What are
find
the
there's a lot of
chances?
people from Surrey. Every time I sort of speak to people and say London, then you're like, okay, where? Then you say Surrey. Then, okay, so am I. And then it's like Woking, Guildford sort of thing. And you're like, oh, then where? And then drill down to the exact sort of town.
Like you live next to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
So your world kind of, I guess, dive into the career of Mark a little bit. How did you get into project management? Where did you start? Has it always been in fintechs?
Yeah, so essentially going through like sixth form A levels, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I took the standard route of business management at university. Obviously, it brings you a wide range of skills and experiences. So I thought that'd be a good place to start. And then part of my course was to do a year out in placement. So I started on my third year of university was at Allianz Insurance in Guildford. Placement year
I know
in
that place well, yeah.
project support basically to sort of the project managers in the commercial division. So that's where I got my first taste of it, and then really enjoyed it. I'm still in contact with actually my manager now. Saw him the other day in the summer, and then after university we went travelling for a few months, and then basically I went back to Allianz sort of on a contract basis, then got a permanent role, and then that sort of gave me the introduction to sort of projects and program management, and then from then on after Allianz I moved into consulting. So there again, it was project management and consulting. It was a bit of agile. It was a bit of PMO. That was a variety of industries, automotive, defense. And then I joined another company, which was more financial services, where I worked for a bank and an insurance broker in London. And that's where sort of then from then on my sort of financial services experience has continued, and then my previous role out here was for a fintech where Sye and I met. They do trading, investing platforms, and sort of my journey has just continued through that way. Variety of roles, consulting, in-house, various different projects. But no, I enjoy that space because I think we all know, like fintech, it's changing massively, especially with AI and all that sort of stuff. So it's an interesting space to be, and especially in this region, it's massive.
It's weird that me and Mark share probably the same kind of history, industry-wise, honestly. Automotive, then financial services.
Come from Surrey.
Yeah, come from Surrey. And I think from what I remember, you were with P2 for a while. weren't you, as well?
That's originally where we met, wasn't it? Yeah, P2.
Yeah.
Oh, so you met before you two
yes,
worked?
So that was
okay.
on the second consultancy I was at.
Yeah, I think we met at Vanquist Bank for the first time, I think in the UK. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I was
That's
there
from
for
what I
over
remember,
a
yeah.
year. So basically that was when COVID kicked off.
Yep.
So the last place I was at, Willis, they basically got rid of most of their contracts during COVID. And then Vanquist had a big sort of financial crime program, which then during COVID moved on to. And then, stayed there, I think, for 18 months or so at Vanquist before moving out here.
Amazing. What made you come to Dubai apart from obviously the family? Did you have something lined up? Did you see opportunity for project management here? Kind of what was your thought around the move? Yeah,
essentially it was because of COVID. I'd been working in basically a box room from home for 2 years, saw the same four walls, basically got a bit bored of it. My wife, she was working for the police at the time, so she was still going out to the office, so she had a bit of variety, and we just thought, we're young, we don't have children, let's experience something else, like now or never. We'll do at least a year. If we don't like it, we'll come back. The options were Australia or Dubai. Obviously, Australia's a lot further. We're at the age where we were about to get married before we moved here. All our friends were getting married and stag do's and hen do's. And we thought Dubai's a bit more of a central location where it sort of will fit all our needs. Then I'd been looking for jobs out here for sort of 8 to 9 months, and similar to other people and project managers I've spoken to recently, struggle with finding a job out here for a variety of reasons. So I actually got a job through someone who used to work with at Allianz. She was out here at Alpha Tame, and I got in contact with her, and she basically gave me the opportunity, which forever grateful for, because now I'm here 4 years down the line, and loving it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think from the outside in, there's a lot of people moving to not just Dubai, but to the UAE, to Saudi, and all of these, the region here. And it's a great opportunity for people. The culture is amazing. Everyone is kind of in it together, but getting that first opportunity here is really hard.
Yeah.
And it is a lot about who you know rather than what you know sometimes. And I know a lot of people just, on LinkedIn calling recruiters, not getting anywhere. And it takes that one person just to say, yeah, I know Mark, let's give him a shot here. And then once you're here, you're kind of just in the world of it, and you meet people and you network, and then the opportunities then accentuate.
Yeah, exactly. Even my Xfinity job, that was through our internal recruiter at P2 back in the UK. She then moved out here and then got in contact with her, and she said, "Oh, actually, one of my clients is Xfinity," and then so that's how that worked as well.
Yeah, it's all. I would say it's all about the networking. It's about trust. I think there's a lot. Everything is surrounded around trust. Once that trust is there, the steps are a lot easier to take. I think looking from the outside, I think we're used to an environment where there's 3-4 interviews, and the trust is based on those interviews. Whereas here, I think right from the beginning, it has to be a trustable source that has been referred by someone. The attention to that person has been brought out somehow, shall we say, not necessarily just via an online platform where you apply for jobs. But on that note, I was just going to start to discuss a little bit about what Mark has been involved in the last, I think it's about 3-4 months now, isn't it? The Project Management Committee. I want to ask you, what's your aim? Like, as in, what is it that you want to accomplish out of this project? And I know there is a partner involved as well. You can introduce her as well and talk a little bit about what she does and what her background, shall we say, as well. But I think the main, I think my what I want to take from this kind of episode is why you went about it in the first place. I think that's the thinking behind it, and also what you want to achieve out of it.
We're going to give them a free plug here to position the Project Management Collective. I think just a quick overview first, and then dive into.
I mean, there's so much to talk about, really. But essentially, the Project Management Collective is a network and community for project management professionals in the region, but then also aspiring from outside the region to come to sort of Dubai and the UAE. So I've been thinking about it for a while, in the sense that I've been to many networking events, many other networking clubs, which are some are better than others, but they're really good. But in the sense that they're people from all different industries, all different experiences. And when before moving to Dubai, I said obviously I struggled for 8-9 months trying to get a role. And then also sort of when I've been in Dubai looking for, say, other roles, struggled to find somewhere to go where there are people, sort of project managers, project professionals, senior people in projects and program, where I could reach out to and say, hey, by the way, I'm looking for a new role. This is the interest. This is my CV. So we're trying to sort of twofold what we're trying to do. Build a network here for other project professionals to meet up, to learn, to engage. Obviously, there's so much happening in the space. There's so much technology. So provide that community. But then also, I've spoken recently, the last few months, to project managers outside the region. I basically put a LinkedIn post out because a couple of people have referred them to me saying, oh, they're looking to get there. Do you want to have a chat? I said, yeah, sure. So then I put a LinkedIn post offering it. And within about, I think it was 10 days, I had 20 people booking calls. Wow. My calendar for that week was hectic. I underestimated it. But essentially, everyone was saying the same thing. They'd like to move to Dubai for whatever reason. They're struggling to get any traction. Can you help me? What should I do? So that's the other part of the community. So one's going to be sort of in person, but then also the other side is going to be sort of an online community outside of the region, where we will try to support people to get them a role here. We're not going to guarantee them a role, but we'll put in place things to help, whether we can post them in the right direction for people that can support with LinkedIn, because I'm sure LinkedIn here is massive. That's how businesses grow. That's how you get leads. And also just a chance to start meeting people who are already in the region at some of these companies to form relationships. So when people might be looking for project managers, they might go, oh, actually, I spoke to so-and-so. They're in the UK at the moment, but they've got good experience. They've got good fit. So that's sort of how what we're trying to achieve out of it. How it came about then. So Rachel, I only met Rachel a couple of months ago through a mutual friend. She said, I've got a friend that does project management as well. Maybe you guys should meet. You'll get on well. We're like, again. So we caught up, met. So her background's more construction. So obviously, generally in construction, it's predominantly more male focused. But Rachel's been a project manager in the construction side, I think over 10 years now. And she then moved here a couple of years ago. She had also set up her own business, Built Well PM, which is essentially project management training. So she offers a range of courses. So when we met up, we sort of discussed our backgrounds, what we're doing, our families. And again, that sort of aligned a bit. We both got a little one a couple of months apart. And then she'd been running sort of some round table events here. And I said, I've been thinking about setting up a PM community sort of thing, because there isn't one here and I think there's a need. It will be really good if we could do it. It's a bit riskier doing it on your own.
Yes.
So we're just like, should we do it together? We're both like, yeah, why not? Two
Amazing.
people is better than one.
Yeah.
So that's how it sort of formed. And then we sort of like, okay, let's start to announce it just to see whether there's interest in the region. And then within a couple of LinkedIn posts, within, again, a week or so, we had just under 200 people sign up, I think, to join the waitlist. And now we're up to just under 300. And again, that's just through a few LinkedIn posts. Half of those people are based here, half are outside the region, majority UK, but we've had people from Australia, we've had people from Mexico, all over the place. It really is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just trying to sort of get things lined up in place to launch in January.
Amazing. I've got two questions. First one, with the collective, especially for this region, because we're focused here on learning and providing expertise here. Is it aimed at professionals? Is it aimed at people kind of juniors coming through school? How to get into project management? Kind of where's the aim for the type of people that could be part of the collective?
So essentially, we want to have it sort of the whole spectrum, should I say. We want to have experienced sort of people, I say the middle level, experienced project managers in there that want to sort of get to the next level, so we can integrate and meet the more senior transformation project specialist C-suite guys, so that we can have sort of a bit of a roadmap plan. How can we get their opportunities? But also the people at the start of their career who need some guidance, who want some support, know where to go, where we could say, okay, actually we're offering this learning, or that you should do this training. But then also you can speak to people that have done it in the region. They're experienced project professionals. The other thing which I potentially want to tie in as well is, like you mentioned about schools and mentorships. I've actually, there's a lady called Anara here. She runs a company called The Little Project Manager. So I've just gone on board as a mentor, and I got my first meeting this evening actually. So she basically runs these projects for schools here, where the school children can basically put together their own project, take them through the project life cycle and teach them, okay, so you do your planning, you do your scope, then you do your building, then you test, etc. And also, so part of it, hopefully, will go into supporting schools and universities for project managers on their journey. Obviously, it's a long way up, but potentially we could help support with apprenticeships. There's scope to go into so many areas. And obviously we're right at the start. We haven't thought about it all yet. So no, it's a really interesting, exciting time.
Yeah, very, very. It sounds like it's going to be a very exciting project, and it's going to bring a lot to the region as well. One question that kind of is playing on my mind is the demand. So you mentioned about experienced project managers being in the region already. Do you feel as though there is enough demand for additional people to come here, or do you feel that the traction isn't quite there yet?
I think if you look at what's happening sort of in the region over the next 5-10 years, and especially in Dubai, they're constantly building things. They've got, I think Saudi's got the Expo 2030. Saudi's also got the 2034 World Cup, the Saudi 2030 vision, and everything else going on it. There is a lot going on, and you need people to sort of manage that thing. So PMI actually released some stats, essentially. So in the MENA region, by 2035, they reckon there would be a shortfall of about 1.8 million project managers. And in the UAE, I think it'd be 150,000.
Wow.
So I think there's definitely the scope for it and the skills needed. But then again, something we want to try look at is how do we ensure that the project managers have sort of the correct training, the qualifications, so they are good project managers, because we don't want to sort of advertise it and then people aren't at the highest level, because then you get a bad reputation. And also sometimes with project, I'm sure you guys know project managers, they're sometimes seen as just sort of admin, meeting taking, book the meeting room, etc., which yes is part of PM role, is about 5%, but they're not just that. They can actually add a lot more to it. And I think we've touched on briefly about sort of AI and stuff. That's going to aid project management in terms of the tedious tasks, the repetitive task, which will then free a project manager to actually spend more time the people side, stakeholder management, because that is a massive part of project management. And especially in this region, I think most people, things are better when you do it face to face instead of just on Teams and stuff. So I think, yeah, there is still definitely room. I mean, and if the region keeps growing and continuing to build things and develop tech and AI, there's definitely scope for a lot of project managers.
Actually, I was going to go. The next question was kind of going into that area, should we say, AI. One of the things that I don't know about you, Tom, I've noticed is there's either one of two things. There's either fully agile or there's a lack of agile, should we say, in an organization here. And the question I want to put to Mark is, how important is agile? How important is agile when it comes to tech projects, number one, and the importance of it with AI projects in particular? Bearing in mind, 80%, they're saying 80% of AI projects fail. So, I think, what's the importance of agile? I think that's what we want to get, the message we want to get across.
I think also just, for our audience that may not know project management, or what is agile, what are the other types of project management methodologies, and how kind of what do you subscribe to as kind of the good approach, best practice?
Yeah, so I think generally it depends on the type of project you're doing, obviously. So there are generally two sort of forms of project management, which most people know. There's obviously the waterfall, which is basically you do your sort of planning, your design, then your build, etc.
Very structured.
Very structured, exactly. And that in this sort of region would be constructions, obviously, like that. But then also you can do it in tech, depending on the project. Agile is more where you've got you've sort of got your end goal, but then you break it down into sections and you try to develop something that people call an MVP, so minimal viable product. So you get something out to the market, you test it, and then you build the next part. So that works in cycles, usually 2 to 4 week sprints. The team will build something, test it, show it to the stakeholders. They will say, yeah, that's great. And we'll go, okay, move on to the next sprint, where you then add to that. And then the idea is you release it as soon as possible, so you get feedback and you continuous development.
Yeah.
So I think trying to understand, people need to understand exactly what project they're doing and then pick the right methodology, because that's part of the problem. But then also when you do go down using agile, you've got to be strict and in terms of governance and the way the project is managed, because you can easily just let it out of control.
Scope creep.
Exactly, scope creep, that's a massive thing. Obviously the new requirements come out from sort of the executives, they think, okay, yeah, let's just shove it in, but they don't understand the knock-on effect that has in terms of time and cost. So you've got to be strict on that. Obviously the whole point of agile as well is things do change. So being able to understand actually what that scope change is, the effect and impact of it, and make a decision quickly. So the other thing is decision making. If you don't make decision quickly, that also has a knock-on effect.
Yeah, I think what I wanted to kind of portray from the message that Mark was trying to give is the value it brings, the value it can bring when you have the ability to kind of slightly go off par, shall we say. Whereas a traditional waterfall way is basically you don't change anything into the end. It'll be 2.0 or 2.1 before you kind of think about even the smallest, slightest change. And I think that's what I'm trying to kind of get across. I
think the mentality's changed a little bit, because a lot of people that have gone through big, especially technology, we're a technology podcast, technology transformations, have grown up with implementing SAP and all of these big behemoth systems where waterfall did kind of work back then. But I think now there's, especially with the boom of AI and technology and how easy it is for people to start companies, you just have to be really quick to iterate and change.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also,
Yeah.
I think, going back to your point, why is project management so important? It's not about, okay, we're hitting certain milestones. Probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's more about the stakeholder management. We've got a C-suite. We're building, and this kind of goes back to my company, 70 Experts. We're building an AI product. We've got lots of stuff that we're doing, building it in an agile way. But everyone's coming up with new ideas. Every call, it's like, oh, what about if we do this? And it's being really structured around, okay, where is the value? What are we delivering? Rather than just adding a huge bucket list of features and functions that we're going to build. And then, we're delayed because we've got too much work on. So, I'd love to maybe get a bit of a perspective from both of you going through transformations. How has it changed in the last 5 years? Why is project management, program management so important to a big digital, big tech transformation?
Should I go first?
Feel free. Yeah. Your podcast.
I think the poking of the prodding of Mark is to kind of get this across, and this message is quite clear. I would say with AI, you have to change direction. There's no way you cannot. We're so early on, and things that you feel that are going to work don't always work out. The expectations that you have, at the beginning, there's an expectation. That expectation grows, like you said, that expectation grows. But the expectation from the actual technology that we have sometimes might not steer in the same way that your expectation is growing, right? Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is sometimes you get to a point when you realize that what you thought in the beginning was 3 steps or 5 steps is actually becomes 20 steps. Recently, only very recently, someone asked me, Sye, all we want to do is automate our invoicing process. We started off with, I think it was about 3 or 4 steps. When we really got into it, we realized, hang on a minute, we've got this really, really powerful technology. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? Can we include this? Can we include that? Because the thought process starts to only trigger when you start to kick the project off. I don't know about you, Mark. In the last 10 years, since I've become agile, and I like, as in, I swear by it. Personally, I swear by it. Every single team that I've set up in the last 10 years has always worked towards the agile methodologies. All the sprint ceremonies, and you make sure you include all those sprint ceremonies. But I think the massive bonus is including all those sprint ceremonies, your stakeholders start to get involved. They start to see your challenges, and that bridge between the tech teams and the business starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think agile is so important to bridging that gap, because a lot of what I've read in the last, I would say, 6 months, 8 months, is how we gonna bridge that gap between the tech teams and the business. I think that's the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenges they've got here, especially in the bigger organizations.
That's always a challenge. I think it doesn't matter which country you're in, which industry. Right. Bridging that gap is difficult. I think this region brings its own particular challenges when it comes to that.
I was going to say that part of bridging that gap, and going back to your question about the sort of last 10 years of project management, program management, one of the key things is data. A lot of projects back in the day would have been done on Excel or Microsoft Project. Everything would have been tracked in terms of the dates, the milestones, risks, issues, budget, etc. And that's obviously heavily relied on humans, so which makes mistakes, and it's time consuming. As we have obviously gone through the last few years, technology has aided that in terms of project management tools. The data has got better, so what you're looking at from, say, the project manager's got a project status report to then in a steer code deck next week, the data is the same, the numbers are the same, so people aren't questioning why. And that provides a better picture for the tech teams and the business to say, actually, you said you were going to deliver X amount of story points this week, you've actually done this, why? And AI and tech will help that, because it should be able to understand, oh, actually, maybe there was a resource ill, or maybe this defect that came up that took X amount of hours, which actually has then had a knock-on effect. So I think the data is improving with the use of tools and technology, which makes, I think, projects better. Obviously, there's still projects which are often delayed and late and over budget for a variety of reasons. But that gap has definitely got better due to, I think, data being aided by technologies and tools.
Yeah, sounds more like a proactiveness from the technology, right?
Yes.
Spotting those things, and it even happens with manufacturing and utilities. If we've got IoT devices capturing data, we can better plan for maintenance before things go wrong. Right, the same in project management, the same kind of day to day. I guess.
Can I add one point there,
go.
Tom? I don't know about you, but the best feeling for me is when you get towards the end of a project, and a client's eyes light up when they see insights they never knew existed. Like, as in, for me, that is that is why I would turn up every day for work.
Yeah,
it's that glow in their eye that they realize, like what you described just now, Mark. Yeah, some of the things that you can surface now are amazing compared to you have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
5 years ago we would have to go looking for it. Like you said, what happened here? Oh, this guy was ill. But it's only when you go looking for it. Now it appears, before your eyes. It's natural for it to do that now. And I think we've obviously, working in the industry, we've become used to it. But I think there's people in the business that they're seeing it for the very first time and they're starting to get used to it. So yeah, I think that was something that I wanted to mention.
I like it. No, I've been the same. I've worked in data and analytics for a long time. And you got people that just, running their businesses, and they're successful businesses, but it's a lot on gut feel and it's what's worked in the past. And, and you bring a collective bunch of people together that don't use data, and it's then who's got the loudest voice in the room and what works. But when you start bringing data into it, we're talking facts at that point, which makes the conversation a little bit easier for people to understand, because you're going, okay, well, that point there is because of that data. So no, I think that's a really good point. Wanted to touch on some more of the project management stuff, really.
Yep.
With yourself, is it been digital projects, technology? Give us a couple of examples of some of the projects you've led. What was the outcomes of them? You don't need to talk about the specific customers, but
it's been quite varied, to be honest. So the lot of ones I've done in financial service sort of area has been financial crime. So back in the UK, there's financial crime. Obviously, the regulators, the FCA, and there's certain things that you need to meet. So one of the projects I set up and led the PMO, which is obviously the central governance function, ensuring that the budget, the resources, the plan, etc., is all on track and we're on time in order to meet the FCA regulations. So that was implementing two systems. It was transaction monitoring and it was then onboarding and authenticating. So we were implementing a third-party supplier software. Again, that brings its own challenges working with third parties, but it's obviously sometimes seen as better than building in-house. One of the projects here then I've done, we had two core products. We were moving them onto one tech stack, obviously for costs, efficiencies and all that sort of element.
Sye's familiar with that one.
Yeah.
Close to your heart.
Yeah, and that was more of the digital side in a sense. So we had the technical side for a new tech stack, but then also we were building a new app, a new website. So we would then launch the website and the app in the region, and then a month later we would then do the migration of all the clients from the old tech stack to the new tech stack, and then so then that actually went on a bit longer than
that was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Mark?
Went on a bit longer than planned. Again, there was a lot of people involved in that, a third party supplier doing a lot of the development, so that had its issues and things, but finally it's got there, implemented, and moved on.
Amazing.
Do you know what, that leads me to another question. So with Mark comes across, when he walks into an organization, say if we walk into a tech department, we'll probably familiarize ourselves with the people around us, maybe wider IT, should we say, because you need stuff off them, and then maybe the finance department, because you usually need them to sign off stuff when you want to buy stuff. But usually going outside that realm, unless the stakeholders involved in that project, you don't really come across them. Whereas Mark, when he walks into an organization, a single project, he can touch upon so many people within the organization, right? And I've always said this, that, if you need something or if you want something and you don't know where to go to a project manager, because he'll know exactly where to direct you. I just wanted to make that point.
Being in the trenches, he's going around, grabbing ears and getting people involved.
Because I don't think it's kind of highlighted enough that the project manager touches upon so many different types of stakeholders, whether it be tech, whether it be marketing, whether it be C-suite, senior managers, HR, compliance. There's so many different areas that they, like, when they take on a project, they have to think of all these other things as well. It's not just about, I'm picking, I have to pick from one of these 3 tools. I'm going to evaluate these 3 tools, maybe do a POC in each one, narrow it down to 2, and then pick from those 2. Whereas Mark has to think, right, does this have an impact, especially in financial services? Does this have an impact on compliance? Does this have an impact on access? Does this have an impact on data governance? There's so many different areas that, project managers, really need to focus on before they can get a project, even put a project plan together, should we say. And then along the line, you always get surprises, don't you? You didn't tell us about this.
I was just about to say, and that's the thing, I've been guilty sometimes. You forget people, and then suddenly you're going through the project. Someone's like, "Oh, I hear you're the project manager. I hear you're doing this. Why haven't I been involved?" And you're like, okay, problem. But then, you do, as the project go on, obviously, like you've touched on, you are interacting with every part of the business. So people then will come to you for questions that sometimes are nothing to do with you. But again, where I can, I will point them in the direction. Or again, I don't, obviously at the project level, I don't always know the ins and outs of the technicalities of things. Sometimes people want a technical answer where I'll point them in the right direction. Sometimes it's just a high level. Okay, what's the milestone? What's the due date? All that sort of stuff.
What attributes and qualities do you think make a good project manager? I'm not going to let's try and stay away from just the stakeholder management side, because I think that's pretty obvious from this conversation. That
well, there's my answer gone. Obviously that is massive. I think attention to detail. Obviously a lot of things are data driven, again, systems. So ensuring, because if you a slip of the finger on the keyboard for a date that could be either this year or next year, and then that's circulated across senior management, who will see, okay, that date, they will take it as that date. They will not forget it, especially if it's been written. So attention to detail, being able to obviously analyze data. You get a lot of data in terms of project milestones, project risks and issues, budget as well, to understand, okay, are we on track for, say, our forecasts? But then also being able to perceive risks and issues. Obviously, there's some things you just do not know is going to happen, that's going to come up. But trying to understand that, okay, building in a bit of buffer to some of the project plans to allow yourself, because that will always save yourself a lot of hassle. But then also, it ties in a bit to stakeholder management, but communication, just not necessarily to what is part of stakeholders, but to suppliers, to your team. Communication is massive, because if people don't know what's going on, they will then start to kick off. You'll get it in the ear from someone, but especially suppliers, because obviously if they're delivering for you and they can then get a bit funny, be like, oh, well, you didn't tell me this and you didn't tell me that, and they try to use that as an excuse. So that's a key one.
I think I was going to say that a glowing personality, because you need one of those, don't you? You definitely need one of those, because there's so many different types of people. Like, as in the personalities that I've come across over the years, it's always been very open, very transparent, and they can adjust their personality based on the person opposite them, and that's so crucial. It's like you have to adjust for the person the audience that you've got in front of you.
The other key one I'd like to add is honesty. As a project manager, obviously, you know what's going on. You know when issues happen. You know when dates might slip. There's nothing worse than what senior execs hated, that the day before a launch or something, you go to them, go, oh, by the way, we can't launch tomorrow because of this. If you're just honest and transparent up front and say, by the way, we've got this issue, we're doing this about it, we think this might work, or there might be this impact, as far in advance, they might be a bit annoyed because obviously there's sometimes deadlines and regulatory sort of things, but they will understand because it's just life, it's just projects, things do go wrong. Whereas some project managers will be like, yep, that's fine, all good, and then at right last minute be like, oh, this, and try to explain it. Just be honest.
I think burying your head in the sand, and I think it doesn't go just with project management. It's in all walks of business and life. We've all been there where we've ordered something, we're getting a car delivered, and for I'm going to be here at this time. No show, no communication. Yeah. So I don't mind if you're going to be late with it. Just tell me. Just be open. So it's expectation management, really.
I did message Sye that I was going to be a bit late earlier.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And I haven't read it yet.
Talking about then some of the challenges. How should they prepare to go through a digital technology transformation? What are some of maybe the gotchas that they need to think about when planning for this? The reason I say that is there is a big push, and we see it everywhere, with modernization, cloud, AI in the region, and just trying to do stuff really quickly, be agile, but actually not really having the foundations in place in the first place. Would love your perspective on how should companies be thinking about it, and whether that differs between a startup to a large conglomerate organization.
Can I just add one more thing? Is I would put the lens on that I would say a lot of the organizations here have, have got their ways and their traditional ways, shall we say, and something's been working for so long. It's it's worked for them. It's still working, shall we say. But with the introduction of AI, they want to move into the 2025 or 2030 a lot quicker than but the foundations aren't there. And I think those foundations, it's not as though they've over years slowly started to kind of build up tech debt. They've got a huge amount of tech debt. And how you overcome those kind of leap, like I would say it's a leap. It's a huge leap, shall we say. How do you come across, how do you go about tackling that kind of leap, that massive leap? And how would you break it down?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're starting sort of those digital transformations or projects, you often have the end goal in sight. But again, that could be sometimes 2-3 years. So you have where you want to be. But I think, and your roadmap, I think what companies should do is they should sort of focus on the year ahead, the 3 months, the 6 months, the 12 months, and say, okay, for the next 3 months, this is what we're going to focus on. At the end of that 3 months, reassess whether the remainder of that year and beyond, is this still what we want to achieve? Is this our targets and objectives? Or has something come into the market that's changed? Or has a competitor done something that we need to address? Because I think if you look too far in advance, time just changes so quickly. So you can't just be like, right, this is what we're going to do and we're going to stick to that. So again, it goes to that agile point. So break it down into those sort of key areas. I think in terms of those projects as well, people need to understand tooling, especially a lot of the larger organizations. They will have a number of different systems they use for a variety of things. Even project tools, they might do something on Excel, they might do something on a PPM tool, they might have something in, say, Notion or Dropbox. Select sort of one tool that essentially everyone has access to. So the whole project team, whether it's developers, then the project leaders, and then the C-suite, so they can get real-time updates on what's going on. Everyone knows it's all there. There's a single source of truth, because when you spread it across tools and platforms, data's all over the place. It doesn't help anyone. Confusion happens. That's when things start to get slipped. I think the other key thing is roles and responsibilities, especially some of these large digital transformations, which they scale up to 200-300 people. You need to know exactly what everyone's role and responsibility is, and what that governance structure in sense of, okay, we've got an issue, who escalates to who, then where does it go? Because when you've got that many people, again, decisions are slow. That has a big impact on transformations. So understanding each of the roles, what they do, what they're responsible for, who they escalate to, so that's clear and so everyone knows. I think that's another key element. And going to your point about startups and larger conglomerates, I think startups are obviously a bit easier because they're smaller, they're a bit more niche, they're a bit able to adjust quickly.
Sort of built into the DNA is the agility.
Exactly. Right? But then it gets to that point where they get to certain element of the amount of people where, again, you just need to go back to the points I just touched on, tools and roles and responsibilities. As they start to scale, make sure, again, everyone still knows that. So as you do grow, you don't actually then go off track. But then also it's harder for the bigger conglomerates, big organizations, because there is so many people. But those key points in terms of roles, responsibilities, tools, and then I think it's more apparent in larger communication, because there's obviously more stakeholders. So some organizations will do like a monthly newsletter, right? This is the digital transformation project we're working on. This is what we've done in the last month. These are the next key milestones. Speak to these people if you want to understand. And that's where sort of change management comes in for the larger organizations. The impact on the, say, staff or people, someone telling them, okay, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, this is how you're going to benefit. I think that's really key.
That's really insightful.
I think there's a commonality between the last one and this one, where
talking about the podcast, the guest.
Yeah, the guest, yeah. No, as in, I realized something that we've the last one and this one. One thing that's quite common is the startups can move a lot faster.
Yeah,
they can get things done a lot quicker, whereas the bigger organizations, it takes a lot of planning in order to kind of get even the first step. Just leapfrog that first step. It takes a bit of time. And process and procedure, I think, and planning. I think
culture is a very hard thing to change.
Yep.
If you're going through a process of implementing something quite like a radical change in an organization and digitalizing a bunch of processes that people are familiar with, for me, that's the hardest thing. It's like bringing these people on a journey and getting them to understand what does life look like afterwards and why should I care about that. And again, that's, it probably lands on your lap quite a lot.
And especially in this region where there are people from all countries. So in the UK, obviously, is a predominantly majority are British, whereas here you get people from all countries and they have different ways of doing things, different ways of working, different ways of understanding things. So trying to tell someone there's a new system coming, you're going to have to change. Sometimes you get a blank look like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Like I said, personality. It's the personality. It's all about the personality. Yeah, I think there's a lot of qualities that project managers, either they exist already, they're born with them, or they've picked up along the way, and they've picked up these things along the way because they've been on tough projects. They've dealt with really tough stakeholders, and they've got the medals because they got to the other side as well.
Got some scars as well.
Yeah, scars as well. Yeah,
program and project managers have a lot of scars.
Exactly. They're normally the ones that get the blame. Because obviously they're the ones coordinating it. But it's all learning.
So we are coming to the end of the podcast. I really appreciate your time. I think
thank you for having me.
Really good to have you on. Get your perspective as well. I think the listeners will take a lot away from some of the stuff that you've said. One question we like to ask everyone: what change do you expect to see in the next, say, 12 to 18 months in this region that leaders should prepare for? I think there's a lot of change going on. So
I think I'm trying to not
have a think.
Yeah, I'm trying not to answer obviously with AI because that I think one of the I try to link it to sort of project management. I've touched on it briefly. Is about the change side of projects. There is so much happening in the region, whether that is AI, whether it's tech, whether it's construction, and trying to get people to understand like you mentioned, the journey they're going on for why we are making this change, why we're doing this project, what is going to be the benefits out of that. That's the hardest thing sometimes to get people on board is the benefits that they will actually get out of it. Because obviously some people think when you're implementing technology, okay, that's my job going to go. And a lot of the time it's not. Sometimes yes, but a lot of the time it's not. So for leaders to get people on board with the journey as to, okay, this is the journey we're going on. This is what we're implementing. This is the benefits. This is the success. This is where in 12, 18 months we will be, and we will be more efficient or better experience, better tools, etc. I think that's one of the key things that leaders really need to take on board.
Do you think leaders need to spend time learning AI as much as the people doing?
I think in a way, yes, because I always think that if you're trying to implement something that you don't really know much about, it's quite hard. So to have an understanding of AI, the benefits of it, the areas it may not actually support, and the tools out there, I think they definitely need to spend time, because when they're talking to their team to say, okay, this is what we're doing, they actually understand AI and how it's going to help, how it's going to support, how it's going to change the industry and the landscape.
With the projects you're going into now, are you looking at AI to supplement and support the work that you're doing from a project management standpoint?
Yes, in a sense. So I was working with a company called Notion. I don't know if you've heard. I mentioned them earlier.
Yeah, I've used them.
They've got an AI tool which is really good in the sense that I was working with them to basically automate the project status reports, because that can take 2, 3, 4 hours a week getting the information correct. Whereas Notion will basically take your project dashboard, all your information in there, and generate you a project status report. So that hours that has been saved can spend, and like we said, speaking to people, solving issues with the team. And I think it definitely will continue to use AI to support projects in various areas.
I don't know about you, Tom, but me, like in the last, I would say, a year, there's so many things I've discovered along the way. I've saved so much time.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's incredible what you can achieve with, like 5, 6 lines in a prompt. What used to take you 2, 3 hours, that can take you 10 minutes. And you have to make sure it makes sense. That's the only thing you have to do, double check that it makes sense. But I was going to go back to one of your points there. And I was just going to clarify one thing here is when change comes about, people get scared.
Yeah.
Like Mark said, right? And we both agree on that. But I think someone put it in a sentence for me about 3 months ago, and it made real sense. The change is coming about, but it's not a loss, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to grow. It's an opportunity for you to gain some new skills. It's an opportunity for you to move on and in your career. So, one of the messages I want most of our viewers to take away is when these transformation projects, when these change projects come up, and they're being communicated within your organizations, is don't negatively look towards, oh, will this affect my job?
Yeah.
Look at it as a positive. What can I learn from this?
Very
what
much
can I take I take away from this?
It's a lean in versus lean out approach.
Yep.
And I'd say this to anyone. If you've got something that's uncomfortable, I try and say yes to it first. Because all you're going to do, worst case scenario, is you're going to learn something and take it away and go and figure it out for next time. We're wrapping up on time. For our listeners, what's the best way for them to get in touch and learn more about the PM Collective?
I think the obvious one, LinkedIn. We're going to do on LinkedIn. We're sending out emails to people who are on the wait list over the next few weeks, keeping them updated what we're doing. So, yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best place. We're building the website, so hopefully that will be up and running shortly. But if anyone wants to find out more or questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Yeah. Happy to have a chat.
We'll put your LinkedIn in the show notes so everyone can get in touch with you and connect. But no, really appreciate having on. It was great to meet you. Sye's been saying some good stuff about the work you two done together.
No, it's too kind. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure, Mark, honestly.
Cheers.
It always is.
Yeah, it's been great to sit next to you, big guy. Next time.
I'm hoping that we're going to have the same room again next time.
Yeah, we will.
I like this room. It's really comfortable.
It's nice. It looks good on you. Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
That was good. That was really good.
No, thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
That was
Awesome.
really good. Enjoyed that chat.
Awesome.
There was a lot covered. There was a lot of key topics.